Welcome back to the Nightlife Podcast, Season 3, episode, the next one more time. I keep forgetting what episode it is, and this time I owe it to my drink. We are coming to you today from Barracuda in Coral Gables, Florida. Coconut Grove. There you go.
Official.
Coconut Grove.
Yeah.
Dude, why do I say Coral Gables?
Some do.
It's probably the drink.
It's maybe so. Welcome to the Grove.
All right, man. And by the way, very glad to have you here.
Yes.
A good friend from high school
Believe it or
that I
not.
happened to run into walking around the neighborhood while I am walking around with my family, my 3 kids, after, I don't know how many years. We graduated in 93.
Under the bus, right there off the
my
bat.
God.
Yeah. Go ahead, do the math.
So, yeah. So, Lee Kessler, who is the proprietor,
Yes.
owner here at Barracuda, and you know, not too long ago, also around the corner, another bar
Yeah.
that a lot of people know called Tavern. You know,
Correct.
it's actually a bar that I have spoken to my partners a lot about. It's, you know, we always talk about the fact that we would love to go on the other direction of what we always have done, which is the crazy
Right.
club scene and big venues, 1,000 people kind of stuff, into the small bar that you can run, you know,
The local place.
one person,
Could be a
local
one-man
place.
show.
Yes. And for a fact, I heard you say a phrase that we hear all the time ourselves, and we're not even in the Grove. I mean, we were here when the Senior Frux times, pretty
Oh,
much.
yeah.
You know, that was when we were here. But
When Grove had clubs. Well,
but
our kinds of clubs.
exactly. Bringing the Grove back. We keep hearing
it's
people
become
talk
a
about
hashtag
that, and
thing.
yeah. So you know, I'm sure you hear more of that or whatever.
Yep.
But I am very intrigued in your side of the industry, of the business, because I was mentioning to you earlier, I'm like, bro, we are always looking at something like this as a plan for later, meaning I could picture myself doing this for a very, very, very long time.
Yes.
Versus at the clubs, I already have a new generation of people taking care of shit.
Yep.
I'm not, you know, I'm there during the day. I try not to be there at night. I
Sure.
do it like once a week or not, or what so. But with 3 kids, a wife, you know, it's like
You stay enough to be fresh.
exactly. So man, that's pretty much what I want to talk about today.
Okay.
It's really about the differences between what you do and what I do. And I don't think either one of us was in the yearbook like as most likely to own a bar or club.
I haven't looked back at it, but probably not. Probably
You know,
not.
like, I mean, what do you come from doing after you graduated?
So I graduated college. I basically was doing freelance film. Actually, I did one job. I did freelance film work for a little bit.
right.
TV commercials, documentary. I could build. So it was very easy. Then I decided to get a real job for benefits at UM. The day I was the youngest person hired for that job, and the day they hired technical director for theater.
Okay.
The day they hired me, I told them, hey, I'm going to quit in a year, just so you know, but I won't leave you hanging. I'll find my replacement. And I did. And I did a little bit more freelance prop masters and more commercials, and it's tough on the body. I was
Right.
over it. And actually, the long story short there is I decided to take a trip around the world. I know it's a really
Okay.
random thing, but I bought a around the world ticket.
All right.
And I traveled for 15 months by myself for the backpack.
Sounds like something a millennial will be doing.
Maybe so, except for that in reality they wouldn't have. Well, I'll just leave that alone. But it's you work hostile desks, whatever. I was supposed to be gone for a year. I was gone for 15 months. Came back 2 weeks before 9/11, or a little less than 2 weeks before 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Game changer there. A lot of places I went to, be a little sketchy here now. But anyways, in traveling, I decided, maybe I could do the family business, which was real estate development.
Right.
I would be third generation Miami doing it in my family. And I did it, and I did it for 11 years.
Which real estate in Miami is a
It was the boom,
profitable
it was
business.
great, but then I watched it take a dive as well, all the foreclosures and all that, and I guess basically at the time I had 36 apartments on the beach between 4 buildings.
Right.
I was a one-man show there too, pretty much, and I was collecting rents, fixing toilets, whatever had to happen. I was that one-man show, unless
Right.
it was beyond my knowledge, which is very rare, especially since they all had air conditioners in the windows. I
Right.
could replace that, no problem. And I figured, I was burnt out not burnt out. I did well with the real estate. I just was I was over it.
It wasn't your thing anymore.
It wasn't my
Right.
thing. I did well, but it wasn't just I didn't get my kicks. How about that?
Right.
And at the same time, the person who had this place was like, "Hey Lee, I know you know a lot of people in the industry. If you could sell it for me, I'll give you a commission." And okay, asked a bunch of people. 2 of them were more interested than the rest, but nobody really bit. Hey buddy, sorry, can't help you out. That was that. And then I had a fateful moment where I was like, maybe I should be the guy who buys this bar. Maybe it was meant for me.
Right.
And that was kind of how I got here.
And that's you mentioned that's around 2012.
March 2012. Actually, my first weekend was St. Patty's Day.
Nice.
It was definitely trial by fire.
Good way to
I never worked in a bar. I never worked in the hospitality industry in my life. I just remember how awkward it felt touching the drawer, money in the drawer.
How does it go with going from exactly no experience whatsoever into own a bar in an area like Coconut Grove?
Well, Barracuda's been here. As Barracuda since '95.
Right.
I looked at like a bar with training wheels because I wasn't gonna totally fall. I had built-in clientele for better or worse.
Right.
All that clientele at the time were extra. There were more characters than normal than normal in the Grove.
Right.
And there was a lot of cleanup that had to happen. But the reality is, I looked at it like business is business.
Right.
And I looked at it like a business. It wasn't my party place. I didn't even drink in my own bar for like the first year.
And by the way, that's very important. Very important. I mean,
it was like a rule. Like I just didn't do it.
Right. But things do change over time.
Yes, things do change. You also establish yourself. You understand what you're doing.
You know when to stop.
Your employees not just that, but your employees understand that like I lead by example, but I can do my thing. I do. The drinking is not part of that.
Right.
And they don't. Yeah, it worked out very well. And there's a lot of bonuses I think coming from looking at like business is business versus hospitality, because the phrase I learned to hate was, "Oh, it's how we've always done it," or "That's what we do in the industry." If it didn't make sense to me, it didn't make sense, And like comp tab was a big one.
Right.
And go ahead.
So I have a lot of people that listen to this that are in the marketing side of the equation. What we call here in Miami promoter, or around the world a club promoter. And one thing that I was able to do, I started early, like right after high school. Actually, high school was the beginning push because we threw a few house parties back then.
I may have been to one.
Yes, of course. Yes. And that was the beginning of, realizing, man, this is cool, and you're able to pull this many people and all that kind of stuff.
I can make money doing this.
Exactly. But after time, we were able to go from that to and actually convincing my dad. It's funny, convincing my dad that it was something that I was gonna do like full time was very hard.
Was he like, what are you thinking?
He
thought you were Peter Pan?
He told me, are you crazy? That it's not a job.
Right.
My dad and my counselor in college.
I believe it.
And my dad basically gave me $50, I remember, because I needed it to open the bank account for the business. And that was it. The $50 to open the bank account at Chase Bank. I remember back then, Washington Mutual at the time.
Okay.
And then from there, it grew at some point.
Right.
We've had over 10 different clubs, restaurants, and we had at some point even up to like 200 employees or whatever. So it's a crazy operation. Absolutely. At some point, But so there are some people that when I talk to them, and they want to open a bar, a place, a venue, a club, especially. Yes. But there are some that I actually tell them, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't go in that route, and that's why I teach.
It's not for everybody.
Right. Exactly. But I teach my area of the business, which is unfortunately the marketing side of it, and I say unfortunately because it is the part that is super hard. It's super hard when things are hard.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But when it comes to a business like yours, it's something I'm not very educated in, meaning the difference in your overheads and
bar-wise, you're saying?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. When it's just a
local bar,
not a club. Yeah, I'm used to I need 600 people, so it looks okay.
I hear you.
And I make at least 25 grand sales in one night. If not, we're not gonna make
it's
the
not
month.
worth my time.
Exactly.
I hear you.
So I understand, without getting into specific numbers, that it's a lot different. Over here. I heard you say something, for example, when we spoke last week. We can't do the podcast this week. We got to do it next week because I have my GM is
Yes.
in her honeymoon, was it? Or
She was on her honeymoon. She just came back.
Yeah.
But then again, for 6
But
years,
you were doing
for
pretty
6
much
years,
everything.
I wore all the hats.
Right.
I still wear all the hats. I finally found a manager. Third time was a charm.
Okay.
I finally found a manager who I could works.
Right.
I could try. I mean, the first 2 people, they were employees that worked for me. They went from within, started as a door guy, then they went in, bartend, cook, whatever. However
Right.
they did it. Problem was the instant they knew I was kind of grooming them to be a manager, shot himself in the foot so bad I had to fire him on the spot. And both. And then came this one person, which was I was at a friend's bar on Key Biscayne.
Okay.
And 2 of my oldest friends, actually, Drew Porath.
Yeah, of course.
Drew and my friend John Sarah,
Drew.
who went to Killian.
How you doing, Drew? Hope you watch this. You better be watching
this. He might still be at work right now, but if he's definitely working right now. Anyway, they told me, hey, why don't you hire her? She's perfect.
Right.
And she loves craft beer. Really knows the brewers, knows how to reps in the game already, just by she's just that into it.
Right.
But she's also had her 4 kids. She just got married. She's a grounded person, and it was perfect for me. She's a responsible person my age. Like, it's not,
right.
In this industry it's very young.
Yes.
It's not always as a parent, but it's a young industry. It's just millennial part is something, you mentioned it earlier. The millennial part is something that plays in big time, and I'm learning to deal with that.
Right.
Work ethic is different.
Correct. So, I want to explain something to the people that are listening to this. There's a lot of people that listen to this in other parts of the world, not here in the U.S., Australia, in Canada, in South Africa.
Yes.
And the thing is this: we here, Coconut Grove, the hashtag Bring Back the Grove is because this was an area that was, the nightlife in this area was amazing. It was awesome. The restaurants.
Everything was vibrant. But you have to understand, at that time also, you had only 2 places to go. You went to South Beach, you went to the Grove.
Right.
There was not a Midtown, there wasn't a Wynwood, there wasn't if you went to Wynwood at that time, you're like getting, it was a bad scene.
Yeah. There was no Brickell either.
No Brickell, just a lot of it. And even then, you only had South Beach at the Grove, and you were kind of like a South Beach person or a Grove person.
Correct.
Like, that's kind of how it was.
Right.
When I went to South Beach, once in a while, I loved it.
Which, by the way,
for
the beach is not the same either.
None of it is.
Right.
None of it is. They had the same impact because now Miami has a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
Doral even has a little draw with breweries,
right.
And their what's the new place open up? The city.
City Center.
City
Place. City.
Whatever. The city.
Yeah.
The center.
There
they made it happen. Everyone's
right.
got their own thing, and it's also the way of humans now. We're getting very central. All your shopping, all your everything. The way they're doing the Grove with transportation, you don't drive. The way they're trying to lean it, the way I see it, is not so much less cars, walk in.
Right.
The Ubers, not
more
Ubers,
Uber,
the
Uber
freebies or whatever, all the
right.
electric.
Right.
Pros and cons. That's yet to be seen. But
right.
places grew up.
So the question is this: do you see the Grove? You got to see something in the Grove because you get this bar in 2012.
Right now is poised to come up. The way it's funny. Everybody has to do a revamp at some point. I think just because that's evolution of the places.
Right.
And there are comparables where you kind of see, kind of foretell the future. They made an analogy recently between the Grove and Soho, how all of a sudden Soho had this evolution where there's a lot of empty storefronts, but then it became, and you could draw parallels, I guess, but
right.
The point is it's evolving, and
right.
The Grove is revamping now, and I think they're doing a great job. It's
both residential and commercial.
Yeah, well, residential blew up.
Right.
Especially the condos, the towers are built. Everything that was in progress is coming to fruition now.
Right.
So people are moving in. People are here.
So for somebody who's gonna open a bar, somebody who wants to open a bar, and I get a lot of people that are interested in opening a bar in different places or whatnot.
Especially, yeah.
Should they be in a neighborhood like? More urban, smaller, instead of like the middle center of the city.
In real estate, there's a phrase that I learned from my father, actually. There's an ass for every saddle.
Okay.
And it's true. And there's something for everybody. Even when you find that weird bar that's like whatever niche, there's those people.
Right.
If you have enough of them, make it last, great.
Right.
If not, maybe you're in the wrong, maybe you change location, whatever.
Correct.
I mean, for me, this place it's a staple of the Grove. You know, it's one of those iconic places that it's like kind of came with training wheels.
Right.
But as for opening up, what's your niche? You know, it's all there's a lot there.
And here, basically, I feel like I'm somewhere in Key West. Somehow, that's
good.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, it's talking to you even more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just waiting.
And right now it's a nice lull for us. It's a good time.
No, I love it. And that's another thing.
Even when it's packed,
that vibe,
even when it's packed,
you still have it.
There's still yes.
That's very good.
And if it's not that, then they should be. Then they get kicked out. That's we're just over it.
So
that's the beauty of a local dive bar.
Correct. So you were telling me something earlier that I think you guys are going to be interested in hearing. And it's the story about 8 months ago when you decide to get into another venture in the in the bar industry. And it's that bar that we always, like I said, me and my partners, we always talk about, why don't we go in a different direction? Instead of staying on the same road of the clubs and trying to make it a bigger one and a bigger one and a bigger one, and be the next Live, but for the Hispanics,
right.
We do mostly, most of my clientele is Latin.
Okay.
And then instead of going in that direction, why not open, a few of the little ones, very smaller.
But do you see that when you're older, or you see that now?
No, we've been talking about it for a while. We just
fair enough. But do you see yourselves doing it older or now?
I
bet you the answer is older.
Older, yes. Yes, more older than now, because now I know I still have the.
I picture it that way too. This just fell in my lap, and you can't always pick your timing.
Right.
I didn't get a chance to pick my timing, but this one fell in my lap.
Right.
I went for it.
I mean, it's already there.
But
so when
I'm
you're
a very
old,
handy person. Like I do it all myself. I'm not saying like operation on that, but like even like this table was at my house. This exact table was at my house for 3 weeks while I refinished it.
Right.
Every single thing I build.
I'm gonna give you a small example.
Okay.
Before we started the interview, this table was shaking a little bit, and you got down there and you put.
By the way, that's the floor on the table.
There you go.
Coasters.
You put coasters under the,
right.
Something that we've all seen, we all know that works or whatever. But you have no idea how many places I've been that when I interview the owner will call somebody else to come do something as small as that.
Actually, it's been a problem of mine.
Okay.
I'm very hands-on.
But it's good.
Hard time.
I think that's good because today people have to lead by example.
I know how to delegate. I do it very well. I just tend to do it myself quick.
Right.
There's that level as an owner where like, the time it takes me to tell them to I could have had it done.
Millennials don't like to be told shit anymore.
They don't. They're told. They just feel like they just find a reason why it's not right.
Right.
Even though that's
weird.
what has to happen.
Yeah, and we are almost millennials, borderline.
You think?
But
I'm not gonna accept this.
No, like seriously, it's So what I want to ask about the tavern, which is, I mean, it's for you guys that haven't been to the Grove before. It's a I don't know how small is the bar.
Tavern. It's basically a hallway that opens up in the back and there's enough room for a pool table, but it's a small bar. It's beer and wine.
If you walk by, all you see is a small door, the 21 over sign, because everybody knows it's 21 and over.
Yep.
And you have that little door. And back in the day, it used to be, I don't know, lately.
It was my home away from home.
Exactly.
There was a short time in high school. Not high school. After high school.
No, it was high school.
After high school.
Right after.
I may have had a key for
1 hour after.
I may have had a key for a short time just because I was a regular who, if all else failed, I could lock it up because I lived 3 blocks away.
Right.
And had little did I know then I'd own a bar one day, or that bar for that matter.
Right.
It wasn't the same key, by the way.
So is that something? Now that it falls into your lap, you say, but
yes. This one fell. Well, they both really did.
Which
I wasn't looking to have a chain or to be,
But both on the same in the same area. A lot of people wouldn't do that.
Right.
But I agree with you.
It's kind of control over it.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I had this conversation with another club owner, and we spoke about that it's better if we concentrate and we try to make a destination. Yeah, create a destination.
Synergy together. Happens, and they play on each other.
Right, and this person that I spoke to ended up owning 4 or 5 different venues now in Wynwood.
Absolutely.
And they're doing great.
Right.
Over there, it's just
It helps in many ways. Okay. Huge. Especially, also not only that, but my partner over there is one of the members of Sandbar, and so that's the third bar on this block.
Okay.
That's the
right.
block.
Right.
It's the Barracuda Triangle, if you will.
Correct.
And it works well.
Right. What are the hours of operation currently in this area?
For Barracuda, it's Mondays we open at 6. We open late, 6 till 3 a.m. But every other day, noon to 3 a.m.
So the Grove is 3 a.m. currently closing.
Center Grove is 3 a.m.
Got it.
The only one that had a non 3 a.m. was Mr. Mo's until it closed, which was 5.
Right.
And that was due to that's a long story.
Right. But I guess what is it? Grandfathered in somehow.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right.
There's talk of that coming back.
Do you think it's needed, or it's better not to? Better to go home a little earlier.
I think it's needed.
Okay.
But I still would close at 3 a.m. though.
Okay, got it.
I think it's needed, but
What happens?
Barracuda would still close at 3.
Way I see it, between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. in this ambience, it's no good.
Most people say that.
Right.
The problem is that, like I said, I would still close at 3 because I hear what you're saying.
Right.
But the problem is that the rest of all of Miami is 5 a.m.
Right.
Or more, or
and the
24
issue is
hours,
that a lot of people
whatever.
make the decision to go out at midnight, and they end up going out at 1, and then if you close
also
at
the
3.
industry crowd, also
Right.
all that. The problem with when Grove went from 5 a.m. to 3 a.m. is that it took us off the same level playing field as every other area of Miami.
Right. How do you make people come earlier?
It's tough. It's very tough.
Right.
I mean, you're fighting a little bit of stigma. You're fighting a little bit of just human nature.
Right.
But this place, Barracuda in particular, has always been more of a night place. We have a revamped the menu. We do a great lunch, but it will lull like right now, and then
Right.
it comes back for the night.
As a bar, do you use any kind of partnerships? Like, for example, when my promoting company works with a venue, it's basically a partnership.
Right.
We go in, we take one day, one night that is ours that we work together.
Sure.
And it's a partnership, sales-wise and everything.
Yep.
Expense-wise also, and all those kinds of things. So, do you guys do anything like that sometimes, or are you 100% just yourself? Or?
I'm 100% myself. There are exceptions. There are some people. Coconut Groove. I don't know if you know these guys.
Okay.
Dan Travieso. He basically runs this. He's a great guy, and we're actually just booked the next one here. I don't know if do you know their setup?
No.
Basically, they are. They're DJ. It's a DJ. It's house music, or
Okay.
I don't want to insult any of it. It's whatever. It's this great. I don't know what they label it as, but great vibe music. It's a very good vibe crowd. They do island parties here in the Grove. We just had one this past weekend. Dan, last time I closed Fuller Street in front of here, I did it with him. We had a partnership.
Right.
We had full liquor in the street. We did full concert. We had Spam All Stars and Problem Kids and all these great acts play, plus DJs in between. That's a great event.
I saw some karaoke going on here.
That's every Thursday.
Thursday's
That's a college night.
That's my other question.
That's a different story. That's the exact opposite.
Do you also do a theme thing, like for example, Tuesday trivia?
Tuesday is trivia. Wednesday I do bottles and beats. It's live music. We do a special on craft beer packages. Like any craft beer package, 30% off.
Right.
Thursdays are always a college night, and that's like been that way since you and I were babies. Like, that's we didn't claim that. Like, this college night is college night whether you like it or not.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna come.
You don't want to do
ready
college
for
night. They're gonna show
up. The hurricanes
up.
are a hurricane.
Correct.
Like it just like be ready for the hurricane.
Right.
Batten down the hatches because I'm coming.
Right.
But that's very finite though. It's basically midnight to 3 a.m. They don't show.
I mean, we are. So you guys know we are close to UM.
We're very close to UM, and the Coconut Grove has always been a UM hangout. And even with all the other options, which they do, Thursday night it still is a college night and it still gets as crazy as it used to.
Right.
It's just more of a finite time.
Right. How is your relationship with other owners around the area?
Great. Actually, that part is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That and the bid, you're right. And the bid's important too. The Business Improvement District they work well with us.
Right.
I think right now in the Grove is a tough position right now, just considering the evolution that's happening.
I think that's the one thing that's going to bring the Grove back. One of the things.
Which is
the relationship that you guys have with each other and everybody helping each other.
That, and there are some very
thing.
good people. Barstool Sports has been phenomenal, by the way.
There you go.
You know those guys?
Yeah.
They how I don't know. I appreciate it thoroughly.
Right.
But we were one of their nominees for Best Bar in 2019. They just sent me a banner yesterday.
Nice. It is a nice bar.
It's awesome, but they are doing especially the Barstool Miami, is doing a lot of bring the Grove back.
Right.
They've been posting it. They get it out there. it's a good vibe. I really like it a lot.
I like it.
That, and also that the last time I did the coconut groove here at Barracuda, we had Mike Ryan from the Lebatard Show DJ, and he was phenomenal, and he's big on bringing the groove back. And we have very good proponents out there to support us.
I hope.
Which it will, by the way. When it's back, it's gonna be awesing.
But I hope it's not nightclub wise. You know what I mean?
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't think either. I mean, I think
that
because it got a little crazy at some point.
It did. Compared to the beach clubs, it was like
never like
that was like with Training Wheels.
Never like the beach, never like downtown.
No, it was a Grove version.
Right.
But I like the Grove version of clubs.
Right.
You couldn't wear sandals necessarily, but you didn't have to be.
True.
Picked down. You didn't spend a fortune either.
Exact. Yeah.
You know.
That's another thing.
Anyway.
All right, so we're almost running out of time. Believe it or not.
I don't believe it.
Yeah. So let me ask you one thing. What is the one tip you would say to anybody who is out there that's interested in opening their own bar? Yes.
Treat it like a business. It's not your man cave. If you see, like, we have a beer right now, and that's because we're doing an interview. Right. But if we, you see me out here having a beverage and in that middle of time, it's been around forever, right?
Yeah, it's not gonna happen everywhere.
Yeah, still happening. Anyway, I'm probably doing a sampling. I can't tell how many times people came to me when I first called the bar.
Right.
They see me meeting with the reps, sampling a beer, and I'm going back in the office to work. But they're like, I want to be like here, and I want to just sit here and have beers all day and talk to everybody. Like,
yeah.
You caught me in 2 minutes.
I mean, I can tell you guys,
this is business.
There's probably no other job out there that you can come to work as the owner, wearing sandals, flip-flops like this guy is right now. And it's just, it's fun. It's a great life to have, honestly.
This song is good for
you might have a few bad days, as everybody does. But it is beautiful in the end.
Yes.
For sure, And definitely do not treat it like a man cave. There's
show your
in my
face,
area,
shake hands, know all your patrons, know their first name, know they drink.
100%.
But you don't have to always drink with them.
Exactly. I mean, in my line of work, in my part, which is more, the nightclub, whatever, craziness or whatnot, it's the same thing applies,
I believe.
Because people tend to get crazy, and one of the reasons.
Either way, alcohol's involved, whatever's involved.
There is. And people do tell us all the time, oh man, that business, I don't know. I don't know about it. It's crazy. But you decide. Exactly. It's up to you. In the end, it's really up to you.
If you have control of yourself, go for it.
Basically, don't
make
do
a lot
it.
Of money.
Don't get into this business because you want to drink with your buddies or because you want to get the girls, which you will.
Right.
Or
get high on your own supply.
There you go. Yeah. Hire somebody to do that, man.
Right.
So yeah, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Great to see you again.
For the beer.
Salud.
It was very good to see you. Guys, remember, get all the episodes at nightlifepodcast.com. Get the book on Amazon. Thanks to LMG for sponsoring the episode. And don't forget, if you are here in Miami at the Grove, come check out Barracuda and ask for Lee.
Barracuda, Tavern Grill.
There you go. See you next week.